and gentlemen, once again we're here on the set of Long Story Short, where we're going to mix things up just a little bit. Get ready to be talking about some of the trending issues across the globe, current news stories, and even some interesting stories that might just catch your attention, like a fisherman catching some fish in some uncharted waters. I'm telling you, there are very unique things that happen on this show indeed, just as there are very unique things that happen across the entire globe. So get ready for some witty commentary, some interesting news stories, and meeting some interesting people along the way who cover stories for us on the ground and all around. Welcome to Long Story Short. I'm your host, Darrion, Theatrics, Narine, and it's so great to be here with you all once again. Another week, another day that the Lord has made indeed. Happy to be here with you all and happy to be moving right along into some of the trending stories that we're seeing right now. And one of the top ones that is, of course, dominating social media is one with a specific YouTuber. Now, you all know YouTube. YouTube is that thing, that platform that you go to where you have many different content, many different types of content. You have some interesting people who talk on political issues, and then you have others who, of course, put up their music, their talent, their spoken word poetry, whatever it may be. But then you have some who just do some very insanely dumb things. And one such person is a YouTuber who is now possibly facing a sentence of 20 years after he decided to crash a plane for views. Yes, you heard that right. He decided to crash a plane for views.
There's literally nothing.
Now, I don't really know what he was thinking, but some people might say that it is just plain talk, bad manners, because it's a lack of consideration. How you gonna just jump out a plane and let the thing crash? Now, some people might say that he have some air in his head and he was clearly on a flight high above in the sky. The man was definitely high in the sky with this attempt at jumping out a plane, crashing it for views. I don't really get the hype behind it, but I guess if you wanted to see somebody take flight and see a plane crash, then this was the perfect content for you. However, for those of us with a little bit more sense, we just wonder why. Isn't this such a waste of money, waste of resources, and waste of time? Like, why go just up in the sky to crash a plane? It makes absolutely no sense. But senselessness is sometimes what sells, and that's what we're seeing right now with that video that just occurred. But then some people do some more daring things in life. And that was one, but then you have some who decide, you know what? I am going to take some snakes on a plane. And no, I'm not talking about that movie from the early 2000s. You all remember it, Snakes on a Plane? Not that. Not that at all, but rather I'm talking about a real life situation where someone took snakes on a plane and then landed in an airport in India where it was found 22 snakes to be exact. And take a look at this right here. Now, I don't really understand how snakes manage to make its way through immigration. Clearly, they have some serious border crossing skills, and I don't know how they went undetected either. But somebody really had an answer for this, because look at what's happening now. If we passing snakes through, what's next? What other animal possibly passes through airports across the whole of Asia? Things to think about indeed. But in other news, I just heard that a snake last night gave her boyfriend a goodnight hiss. And indeed, there was a lot of hissing happening there and probably some goodnight hisses passing because people want to know what is really going on in that airport. But what was that woman thinking? 22 snakes across, literal snakes on a plane, crossing the ocean to find a new life. Was things so bad at home that they themselves had to try and cross illegally into another border? Sounds familiar. I tell you all, but now we have a situation on our hands where people really have to start asking questions about what else passes through the ports and the airports of countries across the entire globe. And into some more local news right now. The big topic across Trinidad and Tobago is that of judge-only trials. So we've seen a lot of people popping up and talking about it and saying that sometimes, you need one person to be the judge, jury, and executioner. At least that is public discourse. I'm not talking about within the legal halls, but rather on the streets. That's what people are pushing for. And therefore, we now have a situation on our hands where people are taking judgments into literally their own hands. But within the courts, we have a different fight happening, with legislators now trying to move towards just having judges only deciding what is supposed to happen in the criminal court. Now, I don't know how you all feel about that, but a lot of people are kicking up a fuss. But let's take a look at this video right here.
I'm pleased to report to this House that we now have a proven operational system of judge-only trials. Correspondents from the judiciary tell us that from February 1st, 2019 to January 31st, 2023, there have been 59 completed judge-alone trials, with 35 now pending. On average, during the year 2022, 2 requests per month were made for judge-alone trials, while 13 requests were made for the month of January 2023 alone.
The AG said that with the amount of people choosing this mode of justice, the government is ready to move forward with it. He said that the case of Trevor Stone against the Queen coming out of Jamaica reassures the government that trial without a jury is nothing earth-shattering.
The Privy Council dismissed the appeal and affirmed that a Supreme Court judge, such as our judges under our Constitution and our Supreme Court of Judicature legislation in Trinidad, sitting without a jury is simply a matter of practice and procedure and does not involve a fundamental right to a jury.
Opposition Senator Wade Mark, however, was outraged by the proposed amendment and questioned government's wisdom in moving toward this goal.
We are calling on the government to withdraw this bill from the Senate today. Withdraw this bill. This is an affront to the country. This is an affront to our country's constitution and democracy. And it cannot be entertained.
In rejecting the proposed amendment, which is intended to save money in the justice system, Mr. Mark insisted that democracy is an expensive thing if it is to be maintained. He argued that both in the Jury Act and the Criminal Procedures Act, if a person pleads not guilty, they are automatically entitled to a trial by judge and jury.
I don't know about you all, but I find that look a little judgy. Indeed, judge-only trials might look like a good thing, but in some instances, is it constitutional? Well, that's why they're trying to amend it right now to allow for it to occur. I still think that the jury is a good way to go and very important as well. Having multiple takes and multiple ideas or multiple perspectives on a specific situation is important in making a sound judgment. Nevertheless, I see other people taking the other perspective, that there's a lot of bias that occurs within juries. There are, but how much bias is there with a judge themselves? We need to take a deeper look at that as well. And then we need to take a look at the situations that are coming before the courts. And no, I'm not talking about the furniture store, but I'm talking about literal courts where legal matters are assessed. And inside there, we need to take a deep dive and see what is happening with all our judges, with all our lawyers, and really assess the situation with a fine-tooth comb, going through all the possibilities and the benefits, and then making a sound judgment from there. Whether it's the right choice or not to move to only judge-only trials, I really don't know. It's a question that we need to ask ourselves. And you know, I've been telling us over the last couple of weeks to ask ourselves many different questions. Because I think we as a people, sometimes we allow a lot of things to go unnoticed, to go unchallenged, to go unanalyzed. And the public is the ones who will suffer the most from this. What happens if somebody innocent passes through the court and is not given a fair trial that includes both judge and jury? Well, a lot remains yet to be seen. We have had quite a few number of judge-only trials over the last 2 years or so. And according to the AG, it seems to be working in our favor. But nevertheless, we still need to take a deeper look. We need to really examine what the impact of this is. And will it be an infringement on our rights? It might start with something as small as moving, or something as big in some instances, as moving from having judge and jury to just having a judge alone. But then what else will be amended within our Constitution? And will it benefit us in the long run? These are the questions that are running through my head and running through the heads of many lawyers across Trinidad and Tobago right now, as well as many other judges and people who are just in tune with what is happening within their country. The public discourse around this seems to be, swaying in the breeze, literally. And what happens next is really up to us and how we challenge policies and things that happen within the legislative rooms of Trinidad and Tobago. We have to be able to ask more questions and ask the right questions as well, especially when things begin to affect us, the public, and the citizens of our country.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
On another note, we've been looking quite recently at people making judgments in public. And one situation that has come to mind in the international scheme or in the international news right now is Meghan and Harry. Prince Harry and, well, Prince Harry barely, but the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Recently, they were chased through the streets of New York by the paparazzi, who were trying to get pictures of them or other information we do not know. But what is more shocking to me right now with this particular story is that paparazzi is still in existence. I don't even understand it. Like, you can literally have AI make up pictures for you now and sell it to papers or other places, and it looks just the same. Who is really paying the paparazzi for these pictures? It's so easy to just go on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere else and get pictures of celebrities that you need to make your stories. But I guess some things never change. As Lady Gaga says, she loves the paparazzi. But I don't know. Chasing people through the streets in a high-speed chase? Whew. Let's take a look at that.
On Prince Harry and his wife Meghan reportedly being involved in a, quote, near catastrophic car accident with paparazzi last night in New York City. At this time, we are told, at least we're not aware of any injuries to Harry, Meghan, or her mother. And according to Reuters, as we're learning more about just the circumstances of this incident happened yesterday after Meghan and Harry attended an award ceremony in New York. Meghan was honored with a Women of Vision award. A spokesperson for Harry said in a statement, quote, "This relentless pursuit lasting over 2 hours resulted in multiple near collisions involving other drivers on the road, pedestrians, and 2 NYPD officers."
Did they feel as fast and furious? I don't know. I'm asking the question right now. Because they're running through and driving through the streets like if it's a movie that they're in the middle of. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous in my mind. But for the streets of New York, I guess that's nothing that is too far-fetched, since there's another story coming out of New York quite recently, and out of the US as well. And that is the rise of the so-called zombie drug. If you haven't heard of it, well, think a drug that makes you into the Walking Dead. Take a look at what's rising up right now with this particular story.
Have a look at these images. At the heart of this horror story lies an animal tranquilizer. It's called xylazine. It is showing up in street drugs, causing skin disease, severe wounds, which could even lead to limb amputation. The zombie drug is causing horror across America. How exactly? The animal sedative is being mixed with fentanyl. Xylazine is added to fentanyl as an adulterant to increase the potency or the weight. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid. According to this report by the Washington Post, on average, one person dies of fentanyl overdose in the United States every 7 minutes, killing more people than car accidents, gun violence, and suicide.
So we've all heard of many different stories, seen many different shows that speak about a zombie apocalypse. And with so many different things happening simultaneously, it really begs the question, what's going on? I mean, in the movies, they normally select one area that they want to focus on when they're talking about dystopia or the end of the world or some sort of apocalypse. Usually it's either AI or the zombies. That's the two major ones that you see. But right now we're seeing AI and zombies rising at the same time. So I don't know if we're going to have some zombie robots or some zombie AI that's coming out. I really don't know what to expect from the world anymore. But right now, that is what is happening within America. That particular drug they're calling it the flesh-eating drug, seems to be affecting so many different people across the country. But in fact, a lot of them who are taking it, overdosing on it, and dying from it. Now, some people are saying that these videos, they can't 100% be verified. But the amount of videos that are popping up is what's the need be for concern. And with people dying from overdose being a reality over there, and with the numbers quickly rising, could this zombie apocalypse be so far-fetched? Well, those people are turning into zombies from various different drugs that they're taking on the streets. But I think the sensationalization of this particular drug and of this particular situation is only one part of the questions that we need to be asking, only one part of the situation that we need to be analyzing. The question is, why is there a rise in the amount of people taking drugs that they know are potentially harmful for their health, or that they know are harmful for their health, but yet still they're willing to risk becoming a zombie and walking through the streets like the Walking Dead? It was important to remember. The majority of these people who take this drug become zombies. They're often found on dead-end streets. Yes, that was my joke there with regards to this zombie situation, but there's no joking matter that people are suffering. And people feel like if they have no escape, so they turn towards different means and methodologies to do so. This one just happens to be one that can end their life permanently. And when things like this are happening within our world, again, we need to start looking and seeing what is really happening. Are people okay? With mental health issues on the rise after they've been so high for so long anyway. With people suffering and feeling the effects and the impacts of loneliness. With a lot of people still living through the trauma of the pandemic and what that did to them, removing them from work and different aspects of their lives coming to a complete halt. Many haven't taken the time to really reflect and see what's happening, while others don't have the luxury of even taking the time to reflect and see what's happening. Across our globe, there's news coming to us like rapid action and many different issues across the entire globe. There's the Russia-Ukraine war that has been covered time and time again. And then there's the recent Sudan war that is now coming to the fore, with a lot of children unable to access education. What does that say for the future of that particular nation? I'm bringing it home to even our own Caribbean region. There are many children who are unable to access school or who are unable to access education. The migrant and refugee population here in Trinidad and Tobago is just one. Those children have not been able to access education for over 5 years. But even coming down to our locals and taking an examination of that, many of them will not be able to access education either, because it's a luxury and many live in poverty. So when you have situations like that occurring, and it's not only unique to our own Caribbean region or the regions that are war-torn, but across the entire globe, even within the UK recently, we saw the royal ceremony taking up, 189 million of the budget, while poverty in the UK is on the rise. While many people are suffering across Europe, across Africa, across Asia, there's no specific region that is exempt from this. It seems to be a general worldwide climb that we are seeing in issues and problems. And people are taking alternative measures and methods to resolve this. All I have to say on that is thank God we have some carnival, because, carnival is at least one way in which we could release air. And so much other things here that make things a little bit lighter for us. But those luxuries are not awarded across the entire globe. So sometimes we have to cherish what we have at home, because out there is licks, licks, licks. The old people might say that we need to get beaten with some coquille broom or take a bush bath. For me, I think we just need to start taking a look within and a look at our communities and our societies generally. We need to start seeing where the causes of all the problems that we face come from. Because when I really examine it and I look at it and I zone in a little bit, there are many things, many structures that are failing us, that are allowing for the rise of people who feel no hope. I can tell you, don't give up. There's some level of hope to still come. So, scrap metal inspectors are the new things on the block. And I'm talking about, if you ever heard that man who passing by would say, old battery buy-in. I know you all know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure that you've heard it everywhere. For some people, it's become a song. Scrap iron, old battery buy-in. Fantastic song indeed. It even have a song on it, I believe. And we'll take a look at that just now. But that is the new crave right now. People are assessing scrap metal across our country. That's what these inspectors have been called to do, to ensure that the scrap metal meets the standard that it has to meet to be exported, but also to ensure that your scrap metal just good. Now, to me, the term scrap means that it's a little bit old, right? Scrap means that you're not going to use it again. Normally when you say scrap something, it means mash it up. But we know how big that industry is here in Trinidad and Tobago with scrap metal on the rise. So much so that even they're taking things from all over the place. That might not necessarily be scrap metal. I remember that one instance where the church bell went missing, and there were some scrap metal people who took it and went away. Well, that was ringing in their ears for quite some time, since many people had an issue with that bell being taken. But these metal inspectors, hopefully, they can make a difference. Hopefully, they can make a difference. Make sure they inspect every single part of all the different metals. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, I have some good news for you all today. We've been able to get one of the metal inspectors, the new metal inspectors, on board with us here. And he is on the other line right now. I believe right now he's inspecting some metal himself at a scrap iron yard. His name is Metallic. So Metallic, we go live to him right now. Metallic, how you doing?
Yeah, boss. I good. Yeah, we down here. We scrapping for the metal and thing, you know. Yeah, so everything good. Yeah.
Metallic, if you could just let me know and probably tell us here, what type of scrap metals are you all examining at the moment?
Yeah, well, boss, we're looking for all of them. We're looking for iron, looking for aluminium, we're looking for copper, right? We're looking for all of them, all the elements on them, you know, all.
All the elements, okay, very interesting. You're looking for the elements while being a scrap metal inspector. So I just wanted to find out a little bit more about what your job entails. What exactly is the job description? What do you all do?
Well, right. Well, we scrap for the metal, you know, like we scavenge for it, right? You have to make sure it's a premium grade, the highest quality metal we're looking for down on the inside here now. And then, well, you know, as we work with the police, you know, we work with the popo and thing, you know, just to make sure the metal, you know, it's not dangerous and thing. I take complaints too from people, not from the metal, but from people and thing. What
are some of the complaints that you've been getting? What are some of those complaints?
Oh well, mostly if it's like rust, you know, like rust and dust, and you know they don't have no mask, and the metal it might be too sharp, it might cut somebody, we might have to get it first aid, some plaster. The public might say they prefer aluminium, you know, because they want more foil to wrap the sandwich and thing. And some people say they want copper because they want fiber. But it is fiber cable, you know, so Digicel. But you know, I complain, you know, yeah.
Okay, so you all go in search of different types. Aluminum there for the foil. Of course, very interesting indeed. But you yourself, you don't really seem to know what your job is about or what your job entails. What's going on with that?
Well, to tell you the truth, boss, I really just I was looking for a walk, and well, they needed 8, and well, I was the 8th man, so you know I needed to get a little walk. You know, I had to feed my children and them, you know, my little picnic and thing. You know, so you had to walk, you know. Times I had COVID, wasn't too good, and you know, my store had closed down. I won't get into it too much, but you know, I used to sell bread, but it didn't work out. So you know, scrapping for the iron now. But to tell you the truth, I really in search of the rarest metal, you know. Yeah.
And what's that?
Right, yeah, the rarest metal, yeah. Well, I hear they have gold down here, boy. So I looking for some gold, you understand? Boy, keep that to yourself, right, boss man? This not live, right? No.
Yeah, we're actually live. But good luck with your search there. I think honestly and truly you might be better off probably looking in El Dorado. for the gold that you're so in search of. But ladies and gentlemen, that was Metally joining us here, one of the inspectors, the scrap metal inspectors. I'm very happy to have him. And as we prepare to close off the show today, long story short, I'm your host, Theatrics, and we have a special guest entertainer up next, Javon Ford, who's a spoken word artist and a multidisciplinary artist as well, focusing on human emotions and the human experience. So ladies and gentlemen, Javon Ford.
The Flash, struck by lightning and chemicals. Plastic Man, dipped into a vat of toxic waste. The Human Torch, struck by cosmic rays. They say the easiest way to create a superhero is to dip them in something tragic. Their backs were made to bear the burden of a bad backstory. Glory lives on the other end of the hero to superhero pipeline. But what happens when they don't come out as super as we thought? What happens when they don't come out super at all? Or they feel them men get superpowers in there? Or they feel them men could have hair in there? Or they feel the air get weary in there? I hear that is how the Joker went mad. Fighting, stifling, fumes. I hear that's how they do you in Trinidad. Leave you until your body can't move. I could only imagine the kinds of things that men talk about when they come out. But what would be their special superhero moves? But what superhero names they would choose? But keep moving. Even though they know they're losing, keep moving. Until the body brown, keep moving. Until the bronze body would be a sight to behold, keep moving. Until the inside of your throat dry. But wet somehow, but dry, but death somehow prized its way down your throat. Death by extinction, death by crude oil is a cruel way to go for a superhero. I bet not even Batman would be back from that. I bet even Alfred would lose his job after that. How long? How long you think they had time to think before God realized something was wrong? You think it sounded like coins in a cup asking for change? The clink, 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 becomes the bane of your existence. I sure them men didn't want to be superheroes, far less extinct ones. So what happens? What happens when they don't come out as super as we thought? What happens when they don't come out super at all? We forget about them. And we try again in a few years. We didn't make superheroes this time or any time before that.